right, so this is an individual activity. I think I did post that on the website. It is an individual activity, and then Fridays is going to be a group activity. So here are your questions, all about law as it relates to software. So hopefully you've watched the video lectures from Monday, which is going to give you a lot of the background that you need to answer these things. And this does expand on your understanding a bit. So for specific instances, what are the legal implications? Yeah. I don't really have many more. I think there's only one more, to be honest, lecture in 442, by the way. What is a phone listing? Ooh, good question. Can we copyright a phone listing? So back in my day, yeah, the world's changing. That y'all might not know what a phone listing is anymore. So back in my day, we used to get an actual phone book delivered to our house, which would just list all of everybody's phone number, so you could look up anybody's phone number that you wanted. We don't have them, and it had mostly ads too, a lot of ads. And since we all shifted to cell phones, that doesn't really exist anymore, because it would only be landlines would be the information that they would get and send to everybody. But that would be a phone listing, just a alphabetical list by last name, everybody's phone number. Back in my day. I know, questions like that make me feel so old. Yeah, and that's in the video. He's talking about, can you copyright the white pages? That's what he's talking about. That would be a phone listing. You know what a phone book? Yeah, okay. Yeah, so just the terminology, phone listing. That's fair. So, yeah, phone listing would be like a phone book. We need the auto grader too. Oh my goodness, I'm way behind on stuff. Thank you for pointing that out. For some reason I had it in my head that I set this one up. I think it's because I reviewed these slides and I revised them for this semester, but then I never posted them, which is the most important part, which is a good lesson for software engineers, especially. Oops, I didn't really create any here. For software engineers, especially, I guess for anybody, this lesson applies, is it doesn't matter how good of work you do, or, man, I already forgot. Are we really on activity 16? Wow. I gotta catch up on grading. It doesn't matter how good of work you do. If you don't release it through the proper avenues, it's like you've done nothing. So like for a sprint demo, you built all this beautiful software, you have lots of good code and everything, but you didn't finish any user stories, and you go to demo to the client and you have nothing to show to them. It might as well be like you did nothing at all. You can't go to them and be like, but we worked on a lot of code on the back end. The client doesn't give a crap. They don't care. Some of you found that out the hard way in the most recent sprint demo, which I'm surprised that says that still comes up this late in the semester. You gotta have something to show. You worked for 3 weeks, you got nothing. Get this done while I'm here. Oops. This is what I did last time. I almost did it again. You saw exactly what I did. That was the mistake I made last time I did this. Where I put the deadlines as the same when I created two activities at the same time. And then everyone was asking if it was a two-parter for the day. Where's the content for part 2? 3:07 p.m. is fine. So at 3:07 p.m. tomorrow, the submission for the next activity will show up. Okay. Oh, and Sprint 3 is posted for any of you who didn't see that. Same protocols as last time. Kids born in 2010 or 10 years old. Yeah, and I'm about to have the majority of my students, at least in the freshman classes, who were born after 9/11. That one's, I don't know if I can handle that one. Y'all weren't even born before that. It seems like it wasn't that long ago. I have students who weren't even born, yet they're old enough to be learning computer science at a college level. Was there some limitation on Fury? No, but I started using that server. Was there limitations on Fury? Oh, I see. Why did I move to Fury? I think I just wanted better domain names. With Fury, I always have to have fury.csc.buffalo.edu. I'm not a fan. So I like saying the course website is CSE116, CSE442.com. And I couldn't do that on Fury. The best I could do was have it redirect, which I did first semester. I just had my domain name redirect to the Fury site. I don't remember why exactly I switched all the way to not hosting on Fury, but yeah, why did I go all the way off of Fury? Maybe I didn't like the redirect. Maybe that upset me one day, but can we Google some of the information? Sure. Just, don't plagiarize. Academic integrity rules apply, obviously, as they always do. But if you want to Google to help you out, don't just Google the question, though. Like, if you Google, when can DNA be patented, and you're just cut and pasting the first result, I mean, I'm probably going to find you. I'm probably going to find that out. Especially if you and one other person does it. I see the same exact wording twice. That's how you get caught. I paid for the whole domain. I'm going to use the whole domain. Can we cite online sources? I mean, if it's a tiny amount that you're citing, but I want your own. I want you to show that you've thought about these things. So if you cite, for, like, as said on some site, this one small snippet of text, therefore this is what I think. Like you learn in English class, like you learn how to cite things. But if you say, well, this website says huge block of text and that's your answer, obviously that's not okay. So somewhere in the middle is the line. Make sure you're not even close to it. Do we have to know all the answers? Well, you should. You watch the videos, right? You should be all at least indirectly answered in those videos from Monday's lecture. Oh, I never cut the stream. Sorry, Mike. Don't even bother at this point. Oh, that's not what full screen is. Come on, WordPad. It's as good as it's gonna get. Sorry, Mike. It's too late now. I'm not going for it now. Can we cite the legal code? Oh yeah, if you want to cite the legal code, yeah, absolutely. If you want to pull up the actual relevant laws and cite them and say according to this law, that's not okay. Yeah, absolutely, go for that. Yeah, 911 isn't really talked about. You know, I never even noticed that. We don't really talk about 911 much. Why is that? That's still a thing. They're graded for effort or accuracy? Well, both. I mean, it's graded for effort, but I'm also looking into your effort of did you watch the videos? If what you submit clearly shows that you didn't watch the videos, then I'd say you didn't put in effort. But as long as your answers reflect that you have, like, makes it clear that you've watched the videos and you've tried, then I'm going to be okay with that. Yeah, Spavine Runeslayer, that's fine. According to the law here, patents do this. It applies in this situation this way, and these are my thoughts. Yeah. The courts make decisions off effort or accuracy. Exactly. Are you going to go to court and be like, well, I tried to be legal. Like, yeah, it's a good point. The real master. Like, this is real shit. This is stuff that can get you sued if you don't understand what's going on, or it can make you lose a lot of money at the very least. You're trying to sue someone for damages, and they understood the law and understood that you weren't protecting yourself. You're not gonna be like, well, I tried, I gave it a good effort. Yeah, but you weren't accurate, so you lose the lawsuit. It's an excellent point. Like, this isn't just an assignment really at this point. This is stuff that's gonna affect you. Oh, this is stuff that's gonna affect you in your career. No one likes getting sued, and no one likes getting their IP stolen. Yeah. Oh, yeah. These questions are right. GMOs, like corn is patented, is pretty wild. I'm not saying these are open questions. I'm just saying, did you watch the videos, and have you thought about these things at all? No, we don't. You don't have to cite online sources. Somebody was asking if you could cite online sources. Just dubbed my question so hard. Rip. Oh, beefy Indian kid. I didn't mean to. How long does it? Oh, yeah. How long does it take? It's highlighted too, and I missed it. Sometimes highlighting, kind of like you're invisible when you wear a high-vis vest. How long does it take for UB to mail a degree after finals week? Oh, and I don't even know the answer to your question. I'm trying to think of when I got mine. I want to say a couple weeks to a month. I don't know. I don't remember. I didn't really care about getting mine, so it just wasn't a big event that I was waiting for. Do you need it to send a copy of it to someone? Must be why you're asking, I guess. But I don't really know how long it took. I would assume if you're in a hurry that you could go to Capon and maybe get a copy earlier. I don't know. It's just a piece of paper. What's a phone listing? Is it like a contact book? More like a phone book though, where it's a listing of everybody's phone number. The guy knows. I know. I thought that was weird that he's. I mean, I get it. I like the effort put into the videos. Like, he's talking about the Gillette lawsuit, so he's shaving while he's doing it. But yeah, it might have been a bit unnecessary. It was one of those times where I'm like, you know what? I actually could have used just some PowerPoint slides with a face on there. I didn't need to watch you shave. And it was kind of hard, since it's all just audio. It was kind of hard to follow at times. He's talking about a lot of different concepts, and there's no visual. There's one video where it's just the trees in the background. I'm just enjoying the nature scene. It's a little bit hard to focus on what he's saying, because I'm like, oh, them trees are beautiful. Yeah, I guess that maybe we should have talked about that during Ethics Week, the Dominion voting software. Software's a really big topic right now, as it turns out. I don't know if I have... I don't even know if I have a hot take on it, though. I don't know if there's much to talk about with it. From a software standpoint, I mean, either the software is correct and counting votes correctly, or it's not. If it's not, that's awful. If it is, then there's no point to the controversy. But I feel like that should be easy to check. Like, can't they just do some recounts and check run it through the software again and do a hand recount? And like, this should be easy to check, shouldn't it? I don't think it's a software question. Like, just verify it, and if there was a bug, fix it. If there wasn't a bug, let's all move on. Let's move on from this election. But from a software standpoint, I don't know if there is even much to talk about. Anybody have a hot take on that? I'm not going into the politics side of it. I won't go there on stream. Oh yeah, if you're not in a hurry, you just want to put it on your wall. Yeah, yeah, I don't know. I don't feel like it was forever. Like, I don't feel like I was waiting months. And I remember being disappointed when it came into. For computer science, hopefully they changed this, but they didn't even put computer science on the degree. I don't know if that's still a thing or not, but don't get your hopes too high up. It's just a piece of paper that says you graduated UB. Which I was really disappointed that I didn't even care. My expectations were so low, and I didn't care at all. And then I got my degree. It pissed me off a lot because I triple majored, and I believe business was the only major that actually puts their degree name on the degree. So it looks like I have a frickin' business management degree. So I was upset about that, but that it doesn't even say computer science on it. Yeah. I mentioned this before on the stream, I believe, but I was going to college to be an EE major, electrical engineering, and I dropped out and then came back. But when I came back, I wanted computer science. I had to take 115, then 116, then 250, and then I could finally take the rest of my classes. And I had no gen eds to kill the time during that. I just had 241, 341, 191. So 3 semesters and 6 classes. I didn't have anything to do, so I filled up my time with other classes, and then I just ended up majoring in other things. One of the majors was math. Just with the courses we require you to take, you get really close to a math BA. I was looking at, like, hey, I have all these math classes. I might as well get a math minor. And then I compared the minor to the BA, and it's only like 2 extra classes or something. So I just went up to a BA. And the other one was business, which I was interested in. And since I had so much extra time in my schedule, I committed to it. I said, I'm getting a business degree too, so I know how business works. So if you took away your gen eds, like, it's not as crazy. Once you take away your gen eds, you have a lot more time to double or triple major. Yeah, it's kind of weird that he wanted me to watch him shave. Bothered me that he wouldn't shave properly. Thinking of it, and he was looking in, like, we were looking at him in the mirror too. It was a really weird shot. Like, it was a fancy shot. I thought it was a bit too fancy for what he was talking about. Yeah, he must have a TA who wants to, is going through film school or something, because they had some creative shots that I'm like, It's a little unnecessary. It's a little over the top, ain't it? Especially when you don't have any text. I don't know. I get it, but I feel like it was, I don't know. The production values are very nice. I just feel like it was a little unnecessary. Plus, it makes me feel bad. Should I have better production values? Should I have different scenery around me? Do you want to learn computer science while I'm standing in the trees? Maybe I should do that. Patent has to be novel and non-obvious. And with patents, you have to prove that you can do it, too. I don't think he mentioned that in the videos. But you actually have to have proof that you can do the thing that you're patenting. So I used to have a guest speaker. He's a lawyer. He's a patent lawyer. And he would talk to the class each week, or each semester. So I got some good stuff from him that I still remember. And one of the things that he said is he has a friend who came up with the idea of flat screen TVs. He said, you know what would be cool? This is back when we all had CRTs, these big giant TVs. He's like, you know what I want is just a really thin TV that's light that I can hang on my wall like a picture, kind of like a big picture frame, and then that's my TV. But the dude wasn't an engineer. He had no idea how to actually do that. And he's like, I want to patent that. And then they came out with, but he didn't. And then they came out with flat screen TVs. And he went to his lawyer friend, who's the guest speaker, and he said, that's my idea. Can I go after them for intellectual property? I had that idea. He's like, no, you didn't, because you had no idea how to do that. You didn't know how to make flat screen TVs. You just had the idea. That's like saying, I want to patent teleporters. I want to patent teleport technology right now. And this is how it's going to work. You're going to stand on this pad. It's going to teleport you over here. You input the coordinates or whatever. I can't patent that because I can't build a teleporting machine. So it has to be novel, not obvious, and you actually have to be able to do it. If you can't actually do that thing that you're patenting, if it's a process patent and you can't execute the process, you got no patent. And copyright, on the other hand, let me make sure it's not one of the questions. I didn't memorize everything on here. Oh, yeah, it is. I guess I can't talk about that. It should be on there. It's something that I want to ask the chat. So obviously I'm happy it's on there, but can we copyright program code? Why or why not? Hopefully you know that one. Hopefully you really paid attention to that part of the video. We could talk about Google versus Oracle. There's a really interesting lawsuit. Can you patent an API? Which is what question 6 is getting at. Can you copyright, or do you own the copyright to an API that you write? It's a really interesting question. It's gone back and forth in the courts for a long time now. Google versus Oracle. So Google, for their Android devices, built their own JVM. It follows all the exact API of the JVM, but it's not written by Oracle. So Oracle says, hey, that's ours. You can't just implement your own Java. You can't do that and just use Java for your phones, because Java's ours. That API, we wrote it. We own the copyright. You can't copy that. And the decision has been reversed. It's gone to multiple courts, multiple appeals, as to whether you can copy an API. So this answer, if you can answer this definitively with a legal argument, either Oracle or Google will pay you lots of dollars to present that argument in the courts. There's no solid answer to question 6. The courts are still deciding it, and 2 major tech giants are going blow to blow with that question. Is the background of what that question's asking about. If you want to read up on that, it's a really interesting court case that will affect our careers. For example, is Linux legal? The result of that court case is Linux legal because they copied Unix. They took Unix's API, reverse engineered it, and Linus just built his own operating system and released it for free. Did he violate the Unix copyright? Well, if Apache wins that court case in the end, and that sticks. The creators of Unix, I don't even know the organization that created Unix, but they would go after Linus and say, you have to take down the Linux kernel. That can't exist anymore. Hopefully they wouldn't, because that'd be horrible PR, but legally they would be within their rights to do that. Oh, I missed something. I missed some messages here. Yeah, voting software, accessibility and voting software. Yeah. That's a big conversation right now. And government software. Did I rant about? I might have ranted about that in this class before, but yeah, government software. You can't write software based on the lowest bidder, because the lowest bidder is going to cut all the UX. And speaking of accessibility, the lowest bidder, that's one of the first things that's going to get cut. Accessibility, UX, any type of usability of that software, all that stuff gets cut by the lowest bidder. Because anybody who's implementing those things on top of what's required in the required features in the contract, anybody adding that, it's going to add cost, and that cost makes you not the lowest bidder anymore. Yeah, I'm bored. Let me just add another STEM major. To be fair, the business classes were super easy. A non-STEM major, at least business was, super easy. I treated those classes as study halls, and that's where I would do my real homework. That major is a joke in terms of rigor, in terms of creative problem solving, things like that. That was super easy. Challenging in some other ways. You learn more soft skills, but the hard skills just weren't there. Yeah, the real master. Take those math classes. Get that. I mean, the math minor BA. Like, I don't think my career was ever helped by having a math BA or even a business BS on my degree. But I don't know. It's good to have more background if you can diversify your knowledge a bit. I think I'm better off. I mean, I don't feel like I really learned much in business school, but I still think I'm better off for having done that. At the very least, I can know what that's all about on that side of things. For example, business students will complain how difficult 115 is. I know where they're coming from, because even their 400 level classes are easier than 115. I know, because I went through them. I took them. They're super easy. There's no demand of their students over there. They don't push them to learn. I don't know. There's a lot of interesting content, but you're only expected to know a surface level, basic rote memorization all the way through 4 years. It's crazy how low the expectations are of business students. I don't understand why. I wish they would add more rigor, but that's just not the case. Semester seems easier compared to your junior year? Yeah, maybe. In 442, I mean, it is an easy class. Let's be honest. In terms, there are difficulties of it. The things that we're trying to get you to learn, working in a team environment, and managing a project and stuff, and tracking all your changes and writing good commit messages, things like that. It's not too hard, but it's not trivial either. But it's a lot easier compared to, say, operating systems where you're writing kernel level stuff in C with very strict requirements. You have to do this. Just the fact that you get to pick your project, I think, makes this class easier. So that should ease up your semester. And depends on what else you're taking. Let's hope the trend continues in grad school. It might. Depends what classes you take. You go to grad school and take 542, the grad version of this class, and Did you get the general curriculum? Yeah, general curriculum in the math BA. And same with the business. I didn't have enough time to go any further than that. I just got the vanilla degrees for both of those. No concentrations. I believe. I know I did in business. I got no concentration in business, but math, I think I did the same thing, just whatever their vanilla math BA was. I wanted to get a finance concentration in my business degree because I took some extra finance classes just for fun. But one of the classes, it was from the math department, and I took it as part of the math degree. I'm like, hey, I took this really crazy math class that actually did have rigor, unlike your classes in business school. I went to their advisors and said, does this count as one of my classes towards my finance concentration? And they said, no. You have to take our watered down bullshit classes. You can't take a math class with actual rigor. I was upset about that. So once they told me that, I said, screw your concentration. It's not like it's going to matter anyway. This whole degree isn't going to help my career. And specifically because I went to a PhD. Like, once I get a PhD, like, who cares about my undergrad stuff? Zero people. If I went right into industry after my undergrad, maybe it would have mattered a bit more. But of course, they probably would have pushed me towards management roles, which I wouldn't want to do. Yep, the real master, that is... Let me get chat on screen, actually. This is, at least in my opinion, one of the biggest problems. Speaking of management, I'll even use that as a segue for computer software and really any tech fields. I'm sure this expands to a lot of areas, but I think more so computer science and computer engineering, because they are newer in in software engineering, because they're newer fields. That I feel like these are still big problems, is there aren't enough people skilled at this to be able to promote into manager positions. And much more so, what you bring up is there are not enough people who understand computers and the law. That's a very rare breed, people who can understand both of those things. Most people have one or the other, or most people, just speaking of the general population, have neither. So how do you get people to write laws that pertain to software? Those people just don't exist. And if they do exist, guess what they're not doing? Going into the public sector. They're not going to serve in the courts as judges. They're going to go be private lawyers and make some company billions of dollars so they can get millions of dollars in salary. Because if you go to law school and can write software, I mean, you write your own future at that point. You do what you want. And what you want to do is probably not work for the government. So that's a big problem. So how do we get these laws? How do we get these laws written that make sense when and pertain to software? How do we revise patent law? How do we actually get the law to reflect, to actually protect software IP? We're using copyright law. We're treating software just as we would a poem in the eyes of the law. And that's not quite how software works. And with Oracle and Google, with that battle, they're going to hire the best lawyers, the people who are writing their own tickets and decided they're going to work for one of these companies and make millions of dollars a year, I would imagine. And those teams of highly skilled people have to convince some judge who might not understand software at all and put together these compelling arguments and convince that person that they're right. And whatever that judge ultimately decides, that's what's going to be the precedent. And then they got to take it up the courts and see, hopefully they get a judge that understands things at some point. Hey, dear.
Heat is not on downstairs.
You want to teach my students some computer science?
No.
The heat's not on? Oh, crap. I'll hang out up here. It's warm up here.
No, it's not. It's not. It's not as warm as it should be.
Is it even doable to take out every Linux kernel at this point? I don't think so. Enough people have the source code. I don't think you would ever kill it since Linus is not selling it at all. He's just making it freely available. I don't think there's anything they can do. With Google, there could actually be some action since you can stop the company from selling their phones and releasing Android software. That's a little more doable. But yeah, the Linux kernel, I don't think you even could stop it. They might be able to get a lot of money out of Linus if he has money. I don't even know if he has a ton of money since he gave everything for free. I watched a talk of his where he's like, "Don't worry about me. I'm being taken care of." But whatever money he does have, could be taken. But you can't stop the kernel. It's out there. Like anybody with that on their hard drive, which is most of us, I would guess. Unix is AT&T. Oh my goodness, AT&T might. In my opinion, I think they're fairly evil. My opinion, let me explain that a little bit. Because whenever Google wants to go into another area with Google Fiber, it's AT&T taking them to court and saying, no, this is our monopoly. You can't intrude. So I have AT&T has a bad rapport with me for all those lawsuits. So I wouldn't be shocked if they're capable of going after Google Fiber and fighting that tooth and nail to protect their monopolies. I wouldn't be surprised if they took Linus to court. They might do it just for shits and giggles, just to prove a point, the way I think they are. But maybe they're not. Maybe that's isolated. Maybe they have a grudge against Google only or something. Or they, obviously they just didn't want to lose a bunch of money because monopolies are profitable. But can you take classes at UB while teaching? Yeah, but I don't know if anybody would be able to manage that. I intended to. I wanted to take classes while I taught because we can take one class per semester for free as well. And there's just no time. I couldn't imagine taking a class to my schedule. I mean, taking a class is way less work than teaching a class, but still, just adding anything to my schedule isn't really feasible. I'm already behind on things. Look at the lecture activities. I can't even keep up with that. Taking an extra class would just be irresponsible unless I'm keeping up with everything already. Ironic that business classes have no demand, is it? I mean, and I have lots of opinions on this. I don't want to share too many of them. I've talked about this before, but business majors watching the stream punch in the air right now. Let's be real. No business majors are watching this stream. I would be shocked if they're, unless there's someone like me who is dual majoring, but double majoring. I had to learn all the terminology. It was a dual degree, and one of the degrees had a double major. Was officially what I did. So it wasn't actually a triple major, but I had 3 majors total. Yeah, business majors aren't watching this stream right now. If they are, hey, business major, if you're watching the stream, or maybe you're watching this on YouTube later. Actually, this one won't go to YouTube, but if you're watching the Twitch VOD or whatever, it's not too late to change majors. Just come over to a major with more rigor, and the business opportunities, the employment opportunities are way larger. The one big problem with the business school and the lack of rigor is companies know that there's a lack of rigor. Companies know that when you graduate from business school, at least at UB, you can't really contribute that much to that company. If you are a business major and you're a senior and you're about to graduate, just ask yourself, what do you actually know now that you didn't know when you graduated from high school? You probably have some variety of topics, but what out of that can you really contribute to a company? With some exceptions, if you have an accounting degree, I think that's a separate degree. I don't think that's part of the conversation. But if you're a business major with an accounting concentration, maybe you can contribute, or any concentration, maybe you can contribute that concentration to a company. But you have to ask yourself, like, what can you contribute? And how many jobs do you think are there? So when I was in business school, I believe it was 800 students in my graduating class. 800 of us going out into the world at the same time, all looking for jobs. Like, how many jobs do you think are out there for whatever little amount that you can actually contribute to that company? As opposed to software engineering, we have 180-ish students in this class. Some are juniors, seniors, but let's say 200 that we graduate each semester, and there's high demand for people who can write software. In software engineering, you're all going to get jobs. In business school, 800, 4 times as many students, and hardly any marketable skills. I mean, the employment opportunities just aren't there. In business school, one of the big things I like to talk about is things like connections and networking and knowing the right people to get a job. Like in computer science, we focus on, can you do the job? Yes, you're employed. Like, can you actually do the thing? But if you don't have marketable skills, you have to sell yourself, which is what they call networking, and having networking opportunities and things like that. Because you got to know people and sell yourself to be able to get a job because you don't have marketable skills. It's weird stuff. I don't know. Let me cool down on that one. I'll just put the punctuation on this one though. When they no, you know what? I'm not going there. But it is fun, and I'm not saying. Let me put a more positive spin on that one. I'm not saying you shouldn't get a business degree if anybody from business school is listening to this, but it's a different choice. You're gonna have the business majors are going to have more fun during these 4 years of college than a computer science or computer engineering major. I think that's pretty much a fact. But they're selling the rest of their future. So if you just want to have fun for 4 years, business major is fine. That's great. If your argument is, look, these are some of the best years of my life, I'm going to make the most of them. And then when I graduate, I'll figure that out later. If that's the decision they want to make, that's the decision they want to make. Like, that's perfectly fine. It's an acceptable decision. It's an acceptable, logical life decision to make. Whereas in computer science, in computer engineering, you probably feel like you've been tortured for 4 years and did not have very much fun for 4 years, but it's going to pay off by having a successful career for the rest of your life. So it's a question: do you want fun for 4 years in your early 20s and late teens, or do you want to have a successful career for the rest of your life? Obviously, I'd argue that the more responsible decision is computer science and computer engineering or any STEM field, but, there's a legitimate argument for the other side. But what you can't complain is that being a business major, you're going to have intellectual rigor and have marketable skills after you graduate. That's just not the truth. That's just not a thing. You'll have a surface level understanding of a few different topics related to business, which I enjoyed because that's all I wanted. So I got my money's worth, but don't complain when you can't get a job. I did not mean to talk about that for so long. Let's get back on track here. So what you're saying is you would have really... Yeah, and I actually considered going to law school. I actually took the LSAT. I did pretty well on it, but I ended up going PhD route instead. But yeah, if you go to law school after your computer science degree, like you do what you want. But it's also very difficult. Law school is very difficult. Computer science is very difficult. And they're difficult for different reasons. So if you're able to be successful in both of them, you're doing very well. They're also difficult for some of the same reasons, too. That logical thinking, you bring that, which will help you get into law school, by the way. If you have a STEM degree and you apply to law school, it looks a lot better, from what I hear anyway, from someone who took pre-law. Because they know you have that logical reasoning ability, which is a lot of being a lawyer. No, I didn't watch it. I've watched a few of these hearings here and there. Nothing happens, though. It's just what we call a dog and pony show. Actually, I don't even know where that phrase comes from. I hope that's not an offensive phrase, dog and pony show. But It's where you just kind of show off, and nothing actually happens at the end of the day. No matter what you're hoping, what side you're on, or if you're on a side at all, no matter what you want to come out of a hearing like that, you're going to be disappointed. So I stopped watching them. Like, nothing's going to happen. Nothing's improved in any way. Nothing deteriorates in any way. There's just no change. I'm surprised they even showed up. I'm surprised they're even showing up anymore. Because apparently Congress doesn't really have power. If you say no, they can subpoena you, but I think they have to have a legitimate reason to do that. They can't just keep doing what they're doing. They just call people up to Congress to testify for no reason. I don't know. Maybe this has always been happening. Maybe that's just the way Congress works. But I haven't really paid attention until it started relating to tech. Diversity, yeah. Depends on what aspect you mean, but yeah, I guess in a lot of aspects, and no matter how you're using the word, yeah, can relate to a lot more money. And here's the real kicker on those conversations of like getting a law degree and stuff, or do you want to get your MBA and be a business person with computer science background, and which you can get a job obviously with that. That's where you're shooting for CTO. Lost my train of thought. Here's the kicker with all those conversations though is computer science, and I'll just say computer science because if you're computer engineering, you'd be in 450. You'd be on that path. If you're in 442, you're probably computer science. Actually, let me just say software engineer since it's the course. Software engineer with just a bachelor's degree, you're going to make plenty of money. So it's the question of how much more money do you need if you're going to have a nice job where you can get anything you want? Like, do you really need more money than that? What do you really want that takes all that money? And is it really worth going to law school or something like that? Yeah, you'll make mega bucks if you do, but I mean, do you need it? I don't know. Personally, I took a pay cut to teach. I could be making more in industry. Of course, I do get summers off, so that's why it's less money. But how much money do you need, honestly? The computer tower's my space heater. Yeah. Maybe that's why it's warmer up here, because I'm sitting right next to my laptop and my monitors and my tower and everything. And these lights that are shining on me. That's why it's warmer up here. It's warmer right in this seat. That's why my wife didn't agree. She's like, it's not warm up here. Well, yeah, I'm surrounded by all these electronics, though. Yeah, AT&T might, just to make an example, just to prove that they can. I mean, if most people think like me with AT&T, maybe they have no goodwill to squander at that point. Maybe they'll just say fuck it and just sue Linus anyway. Just for the fun of it. Just because they can. Just because they're that evil. I don't know if they are evil or not. I think they're just protecting what's theirs. The law allows them to have these monopolies. I think Google would do the same thing in that position. If Google had the monopoly and AT&T tried to jump in, it would probably go the same way. But I'm biased just because I would rather have Google Fiber than whatever ISP is paying AT&T as their tier 1. And sold the rights to Unix 2 Novell. Oh, so they could, but they're openly saying Linux is cool with us. But they do hold the copyright, so they could at some point in the future. Well, that's good to know. At least it's not AT&T. AT&T might, but it sounds like it's in good hands. That was a good tidbit. Thanks to the Real Master. Louis Rossman. I'm not sure who Louis Rossman is. Do you have... That's not. How was Samsung? Oh, because we were looking up monitors. We were looking up monitors last time. The copy button works this time. There we go. Oh, the repair guy that makes all the YouTube videos? I thought he already got... like takedown notices and stuff. Or did he fight back and win that one? I didn't follow the story. Come into the light. It's not too late. You could get a real major. Hey, I mean, I almost got a bad major too. I mean, EE, I would have had a career at least, but I would have been miserable. It's never too late to change majors. That is, let me spin that in a more positive light. It is never too late to change majors or change your path in life. I think even if you've been out in industry for 10 years in a career that you hate, it's never too late to come back to college, get a, establish a new ground floor and a new foundation and go out there back into the world. I think it's never too late to get on a path that you're going to be happy with. And unemployed is usually a path people are not happy with. Or I've also known, I don't want to pick on too many. I pick on business majors a lot because I've gone through the curriculum and I know that if that's all I knew, I wouldn't be able to get a job without networking and, just knowing people, and which is horrible for, things like diversity's sake. You get jobs by just knowing the right people and kissing their asses and stuff. Well, who are these? Now these people just get to decide who gets the job. There's so many problems with that at so many levels. Instead of just hiring who's the best person for the job. It's just who knows the right person. Well, it's this guy. Well, my parents are going to this, are members at this country club, and I went there with them and met their friends, and now I have a job. That's not how we should hire people. It's just based on who you know. But that's how a lot of it works when you're hiring people who don't really need skills. There's a lot of jobs out there, even jobs that require degrees, college degrees, that don't really require skills that you're not going to learn on the job. Like they're not going to take the skills that you learned in college. So I knew several psychology majors, for example, who had jobs. They were working phone banks at Verizon. They got jobs at the same place doing the same thing, and they had the same major. They were friends in the major, and they got jobs at the same place doing nothing skilled, certainly nothing that required a psych degree, at Verizon, making close to minimum wage. But that job did require a bachelor's degree. On the ad, it said bachelor's degree required. And I don't know, and it didn't care what major, you just had to have a bachelor's degree. And it's wild how that kind of stuff works. I don't know, there's so many problems with that. I like computer science. I don't care what you look like, who you are, how you act, well, to a degree at least. Where you came from, are you poor or rich, what are your parents like? I don't give a damn. Can you write code? Yes, hired. Done. And there are a lot of industries that are not like that. That's what I think. Every time I see a really stupid commercial, that's what I think about. Oh, your daddy works at a golf course, or is a member at a country club. That's how you got this job. That's why this commercial sucks so bad. Feels good to get everything out. Hopefully y'all enjoy doing this with me. It can be it can relieve some stress. Paying thousands of dollars to have fun. I think a lot of them, it's not their money, so they don't care. Mommy and daddy had a trust fund or whatever. And obviously, I'm creating straw man arguments here, but uh, but as long as you can see past the straw man and look at the point, there's I don't know, and even student loans can seem, I don't know, like fake money. Yeah, be successful and party 21 to 29, or create a startup, sell it for millions of dollars by the time you're 30, retire, and then party for the rest of your life. You know, there are other options, but the partying might be better when you're younger. So there are still decisions to be made there. Do you want more years of partying with less intense parties? Because you know the problem with partying when you're older is most of your friends have settled down, or you've settled down yourself, and you know people my age, we don't really party that much anymore. So even if I have those days where I'm like, I just want to go out and party today, or I want to go out and party all summer. There's just not many people my age partying. So do I party with the 18 to 21-year-olds? Like, nah, thanks. I'll just do something else with my time. Uh, I'll just work some more, I suppose. Hang out with my family. I don't think I want a degree anymore. Thanks, thoughts for food. Yeah, degrees. I've gone on that rant. I won't do that one again. I feel like I'm talking about too much stuff here. Something I say is going to get me in trouble here also. But a degree, to summarize, degrees aren't really required, at least in this field. If you can do the job, even a degree, they're not. An employer's not going to be like, "Wow, you can write software that's bug free for me, and I don't have to hold your hand. You're just going to be able to do it." Oh, but you don't have a degree. Sorry. That conversation ain't going to happen. Not from any reasonable employer. They're going to say, you can write software that's bug free. Oh, thank goodness, because we really need some software that works. It's really hard to hire a good software engineer. If you can write software that's bug free and work well on a team, you're going to get hired. As long as you're able to sell that. You still have to do some selling, because you have to convince people, you know, if you can actually write quality software, you still have to be able to show that to people. That's why we like seeing projects on your resume. Oh, you've actually written software that a professor didn't force you to write. Proof of concept that you can work well for this company. Let's start writing software together. The real master, what are we talking about? The heavily depend on actually reading documentation. What context are you saying that in? If that's in like the career in software careers, what was that? Oh, 13 minutes ago already. I don't remember what the context was. But reading documentation is in software engineering a huge deal. You have to be able to read documentation and self-teach. That's why in this class I haven't mentioned this as much, but y'all have been following this pretty well, is that I won't help you with your code. I won't help you actually with the act of writing code in this class, because you're supposed to already know that coming in. And when you're using new technologies, you're expected to be able to read the documentation and self-teach. That's actually one of the ABEC criteria that we have to assess you on, is your ability to self-teach. Because when you graduate, me and my colleagues won't be there anymore for you, guiding you through the process. You just have to go out there, do your Google searches, and find the information you need, and then use it. For Dog and Pony Show, that it's actually really bland. Is it just the straight up definition, like a dog show? Like, here's my dog, it can walk around, and I groomed it well. Is that really what that is? That makes sense for the context that I use it in. because I use it in something that's super bland, something that doesn't really mean anything. It's just showing off, and nothing gets done at the end of the day. It's the context that I use it in. Runs out of the room to major. Yeah, I mean, and any of you who aren't happy with computer science, the same, or computer engineer. Oh, as I mentioned earlier, you're probably mostly computer scientists. I mean, if you're hating this major too, it's not too late to change as well. If you'd be happier doing something else with your life, if these 4 years have been torture and you don't want to do this for the rest of your life, you know, don't make that decision 5 years from now after getting 5 years into this career and then trying to change. That's a lot tougher. You can make that change now. It's still never too late, but you can make that change now and save yourself a lot of agony. I would encourage you to stay in this major, but I'm so biased because I switched into this major. So for me, this is the right major. But for you, if that's different, maybe EE would be great for you and computer science would make you miserable. But you got to make that decision for yourself. And the earlier you can make it, the easier it'll be. But it's never too late to make that change, make that big career change. Yeah, why even bother requiring a bachelor's degree if you don't require a specific one? That's a good question. I think it's because they can. So many people just go to college because that's what they think they're expected to do. So since you have this, look at it this way. Look at it from the employer's perspective. You put out a job posting and you get 1,000 applications. How are you going to narrow that down? If you can just pick something, okay, let me require a bachelor's degree, and that gets rid of half of my applicants. I'm making up the numbers, but maybe that gets rid of half my applicants. Well, cool. I mean, I'd rather have somebody with a bachelor's degree than without. All else being equal, why not? So I'm going to take the bachelor's degree over the high school diplomas. So then you just slap that on and if you're constantly getting 1,000 applications, you need some way to narrow things down. So you slap that on the job posting, bachelor's degree required. That's going to limit your effort to have to go through all the applications, because it's just going to filter. The applicants themselves are going to pre-filter based on that degree status. The high school diplomas aren't going to apply anymore. So anything you can do to narrow that down, make the search easier, and theoretically at least get higher quality applicants. And then the other argument I've heard for this before is that if you've gone to college, you probably have a lot of debt. And if you have a lot of debt, you need that job. And that's going to reduce turnover because your employees are going to be much less likely to quit because they need that job, because they have that next student loan payment always there about to nail them. So they can't take a few months with no job while they go job searching again because you pissed them off so much. They're going to be much more resilient. Plus, just the fact that they made it through a 4-year degree shows that they're pretty resilient already. And now they have extra, debt on top of that. They're probably not going to turn over as much as a high school diploma would. And there are issues with that, of course. Requiring bachelor's degree when you don't actually need one. There are tons of issues with that. But that's from the employer's perspective. Those are some reasons why they would do something like that. Do I teach any grad level CS? No, I don't. And hopefully I never do. I just don't have interest in teaching grad level courses. No particular reason. If I had to give a reason, I'd say I like working with undergrads because you're here for 4 years. We can have a bigger impact on you. So I'll get more return on my effort, I suppose. Like if I do a good job in 116, we're going to see that for 3 years and then really be able to put good graduates out there in the world. With our master's degree, those students are only here for 3 semesters. There's not much impact I can really have. They're just here for a quick visit and then they're gone. And I don't know. If I had to give one reason, that would be it. But I just don't want to teach grad level classes. Yeah, and the whole party argument is completely blown apart now with COVID. And now those students, I mean, maybe we'll get more students in computer science and computer engineering and other STEM fields. Because if you can't party, what's the point of getting a business degree? I need the, and I need maybe one of y'all can play devil's advocate for me, but I need the other side of the argument. I feel like it's too one sided. Like I feel like I'm just beating up on them. I need the counterpoints in here, or else I'm not really putting together a fair argument. So I'll try to not beat them up unless I have the counterpoint, somebody representing the other side in here. Because I can come up, I'll do my best to come up with the arguments for the other side that, they just want to party. But maybe there are people who legitimately want to learn about business. They get an undergrad business degree, not an MBA. Mind you, I haven't been talking about MBAs. An undergrad business degree, and then that's it, not going to grad school at all. Maybe there is a good academic reason to do that, and a good career reason to do that. Maybe there are certain fields or certain industries where that is what they're looking for, and they're hiring people in droves. But from what I see, it's one of the majors you take if you don't want to work hard. But I need to see that other argument, which I don't have. Yeah, I would like to see some more people studying computer science. People in general, even older people, with COVID, just because people have more time on their hands. What can you do after graduation? Yeah, software developer is the standard. Like this, I guess the default option, and the job that there are going to be as many, much more opportunities in. But there are other careers. If you want to get into the more hardware side, if you're a CEN major, computer engineer, you would go into more hardware jobs, presumably, or else why didn't you take computer science? But yeah, software developer, software engineer would be the software engineer. I think is the more common term. Software engineer would be the career you'd go in. Documentation was regarding law school and CS. Yeah. They both do. Yeah. Yeah. Law school is probably bigger on documentation if you consider case law. Law school, I hear you're going to do lots of reading. You're going to read tons of cases, tons of laws. Study that, internalize it, and then be able to understand what it was. A lot of reading comprehension, I guess. Java. Got 100 on the sprint, but I skipped lecture. Thanks, Java. Just like the programming language. I don't know what that means, but... Oh, congrats, by the way. I should have. I went immediately to pick it on you. Congrats on the 100, by the way. The first thing I do to learn new technology, good old Google, or I guess DuckDuckGo these days I set as my default browser, my default search engine. Good old Google. Just Google it. Typically that takes me to the Wikipedia first. I'll skim through that. And then I'll go to... It depends, I guess, what the technology is. If it's like a protocol, like if I want to study HTTP, I'm starting at the Wikipedia page typically. Google's going to kind of guide me there. And then I'll dig deeper into official documentation after that. If it's a technology like I want to learn Django, I'm going to start at the Django website and go through their documentation. And only when the official documentation is really letting me down, that's when I'm going to start looking to other sources. I know this is common with students, but I tend to not go to YouTube videos. I like being able to jump around topics. I don't like, it starts at minute 1 and then they just guide me through this journey. I want to be able to, if there's a big feature, a big core feature of this technology that I don't care about, I want to be able to skip that and just go to the other part of the documentation. But I'm usually in the documentation a lot. And then if the documentation fails me, I'll look for other sources, third-party sources that have more of that blog post style that go through examples of using the technology. And of course, Stack Overflow questions are usually in the search results. I always like getting a good Stack Overflow question, good Stack Overflow answer. Always helps. But yeah, Google and Stack Overflow. That's not a meme. It's not a joke. I guess it's a meme, but it's not a joke. Like that's what you'll be using for your career. Google and Stack Overflow. Learn how to use those things. Learn how to to find the documentation, then read the documentation. Tensai, we do have a computer engineer. Hey, all right. I'll keep saying CSE then. Is there? Oh my goodness, how did I get so far behind chat? Did I say something to send everyone off? But computer engineering. Yeah, but I guess we do still have some that take 442. You must have just wanted to take 442 as an elective, right? Hey, well, it's great to have you here. I always liked, so when we did split it in 450 and 442, one thing I do miss is having hardware projects in this class. I think I talked about the chessboard before, and the remote control cars with the webcam and stuff. There are a lot of really fun computer engineering, like hardware related projects, and I miss seeing more of those. We don't really get very many of them now that they're all in 450. So I'm glad to have a computer engineer still here. CSE is a lot easier. Well, easy has nothing to do with it. I didn't drop out of EE because it was hard. It was a lot more math than CSE, that's for sure. But that's not why I dropped it. I dropped it because it was boring. There was no end goal. Like with software, your end goal is to create software, and I like that. With EE, I thought the end goal would be to create circuits that do things, and that just didn't end up being what it was. Maybe after graduation and I got on a job, maybe that's what it would have eventually turned into. And when I did my co-ops at RAT, I was talking to the engineers there, and one of the common things that they said was, college is where you go to learn how to learn, but you're not going to use the stuff that you learned in college on the job. And that really bummed me out. I'm like, well, why the hell am I going to college for 4 years? And that's not true. I have not ever once heard that in CSE, because we just teach you how to do the job. Like we're actually teaching you things you need to know, not just some bullshit to say this is how you learn how to learn. That's such a cop-out, dumb excuse to learn a bunch of crap. I want to learn stuff that I'm actually going to use, and that's what I get to do in computer science. And then I get to do those things. I can just fire up an IDE, and whatever I learn, whatever I study, I can just do it right there. With EE, I can't do that. I gotta have to have an upfront investment to buy all this hardware to be able to have my pet projects, my side projects and stuff. Oh yeah, and yeah, computer scientists, we are lazy. Too lazy to go upstairs and get a printout. Yeah, by definition, if you're going into software engineering, you kind of have to be lazy, because that's why we write software. If no one were lazy at all, if we were all enjoy the having a good hard day's work, like, we wouldn't need software. The whole goal of software is to automate things that we don't want to do. That's our jobs, is to allow people to be lazier and get more done. Get more done with less effort. And we use lazy tongue-in-cheek. I'm using lazy tongue-in-cheek, of course. Yeah, beefy Indian kid. I would debate. This is one of my personal views. The mentally capable of completing a 4-year degree. I believe that everybody's mentally capable of completing a 4-year degree. I believe it's a matter of if you want it or not. If you want it hard enough, yeah, some people might have a tougher time. But even then, I don't know. I don't want to get too deep into that. But I argue, were they well prepared throughout the rest of their life? Like, they might have been missing some key background. like creative problem solving. If they haven't had enough practice of that before they got to college, they're going to have a tougher time. But I believe everybody's mentally capable. But do they have that determination to actually do it? Because if it's just mentally capable, why not take SAT scores for job applications or some other measure like that? It's not that you're capable, it's that you actually have the dedication to follow through and finish something. You finish something that you weren't forced to do, like a high school degree. I mean, yeah, you can drop out of high school, but it's much less common. The path of least resistance is to finish high school and then not do any more schooling. The fact that you did 4 years, took 4 years of your life and went and did something that you didn't have to do and committed and finished. It's a big deal. I think that's what they usually mean by bachelor's degree required. That probably says it more succinctly than what I went off on earlier. Yeah, Apple Atom, and yeah, if you finish your computer science degree and then go into another field with that, like other fields are happy to see. Actually, let me not say that. Let me not make that statement because I'm talking out of my ass a little there. But if you have that background and then take that into another career, that can have its advantages. And if you're not happy, I mean, I don't like giving that advice. It kind of feels defeatist. But if you're not happy, don't keep doing the thing that makes you unhappy. I'd say that's the most important thing is, are you happy? If you're happy at a Verizon call center, if that's where you're happy and you want a job. And a lot of people think this way. I'm not bashing this at all if that comes across like that. But if you're happy doing some mindless job where you don't have to put much of yourself into your career, that you can come home at the end of the day after you clock out and be fresh and then go do whatever you want after work and live for punching out and getting out of there and saving all the best of yourself for something that's not related to your career. If that's what you want to do, if that's what other people want to do, a lot of people make that choice, and that's fine. It's a perfectly valid life choice to make. I mean, there are definitely downsides to a career in software engineering, or like my career being a professor. My work comes home with me. I don't like that, but it's part of this job. Like I'm basically always on duty. I can always receive emails, and I'm always thinking about the next thing. Everything's always on my mind. It drives me nuts, kind of. But then I get summers off, and I get to recoup and get my mind back. But in software engineering, it's kind of the same thing. You're always going to be thinking. You're going to be laying in bed and can't sleep because you're thinking about how am I going to design this next piece of software. And you know what? If you just work at a call center, you punch out, and you will not think about that job till you punch back in. That has its benefits. I don't know why I'm talking about that off your comment, but wherever you're happiest, some people are happy doing things that you might not consider positive. Like some people don't need talking about you're going to make enough money without a law degree on top of your computer science degree. A lot of people are going to make as much money as they need without a computer science degree. They're just going to get some regular old bachelor degree required job, and that's going to be plenty of money for them, and they're going to live a happy, fulfilling life. There's nothing wrong with that at all. Probability and 411's a probability, right? It can be tricky. Probability is a nice thing to know these days. It's nice to know about probability and statistics because you can see how much you're being manipulated. Any stat you see out there in the public arena, it's almost always manipulated to say a specific thing. How many times do you see a percentage increase of a percentage? Like some percentage if like if I can't think of a great example. I'll use unemployment because it's been in the news. But if like unemployment goes from 4% to 6%, do you call that a 2% increase or a 50% increase. Well, if you want to make it sound bad, you call it a 50% increase because the number increased by 50%. And you see that very often, that how the percentage increase of a percentage, it doesn't mean that it went up by 50 percentage points. It only went up by 2 percentage points, but it did increase by 50%. So it can make it look the way you want it to. Or do you want to mitigate? Do you want to downplay how bad that rise in unemployment is? You say unemployment rose by 2%. Both of them are accurate ways. Unemployment rose by 50%. Unemployment rose by 2%. They're both accurate, but they don't distinguish between a percentage increase and an increase in a percentage. So that's one of the ways that I see all the friggin' time, all the time. Especially when you have really small numbers and there's an increase, they'll talk about the percentage increase, the increase of the percentage of the percentage. Like if I failed, so let me use a class example. Say one semester I go nuts and I fail 99% of my students. I just hand out Fs like crazy. Maybe I have a class of 100 and I pass one student. The next semester, I ease up and I pass 3 students and fail 97, and I have a class of 100 again. I can say that my success rate just increased by 200%. Would you agree that I did a good job at all? Hopefully not. But what I can say, if I'm trying to deceive you and trying to convince somebody that I did a good job, that's what I'm going to say. The success rate of my students in this class increased by 200%. Therefore, I've gotten 200% more effective, and you should give me 200% more money. I can twist that stat. So stats are important, and then obviously in Math 411, you're getting way deeper into stats than that. But just understanding how all the math works and how you're being manipulated is just I would dare call it a 21st century skill. I mean, people have always been manipulating people with stats, but especially now with the internet, there's just a lot more manipulated stats. Not even false stats, but just manipulated and presented in a way. How many times have you seen a graph where the y-axis is crazy zoomed in to make an increase look way higher than it is? It's constant. It's just about everything out there is manipulated in a way to make you feel a certain way that somebody's trying to make you feel. It's an important skill to have, to know to look out for that stuff. What's your opinion on MIS degree? I don't know if I have an opinion on it. That if I didn't do a finance, between finance and MIS, assuming you mean an MIS concentration on your business degree, those are the two concentrations I was looking at. And MIS, I was just further away in terms of number of classes. But that would have been the one I would like to take. I don't really have an opinion on the degree itself, just because I don't know enough about it. But getting more tech in your business, education, can't be a bad thing. I would assume it's a very good thing. It's just how much better or how good. I don't really have good information to give you. And by the way, when I'm talking about a business degree, when I've been bashing them, I mean a vanilla, plain business degree, no concentration. Once you get concentrations, that can really up the value, especially in terms of marketable skills. I'm way behind chat again. Let me get this back on screen. I gotta go. My throat's even starting to get a little sore here. Let's get to live chat and call it a day. Yeah. And when you finally do have that party, or you get to a party, I've done this before. I was not the fun kid at parties, because you go to a party and you're thinking about all your homework assignments still and all your classes that you got to do, all the stuff that you have to do. And that's what you end up talking about at a party. It's like, no, Jesse, we're here to relax. Just chill. Like, well, but this algorithm. Yeah. Get a bunch of stressed out CSE kids together. It's not going to be what most people call a party. We'll call it, like we did on Sunday, a de-stress event. It makes it more accurate. Yeah. Yeah, there's nepotism. And when you're and when the company has these positions open where they're not really requiring you to know much stuff, it enables things like nepotism. We can't really have nepotism in software engineering because your software is going to break and you're going to lose money. You can have nepotism in marketing because if you make a shitty commercial, you know, who cares? You just blame it on the internet. Well, this medium isn't effective anymore. We have to move to a new medium. Your software crashed. Well, it's because of the internet. It don't work, bro. There's no excuse. Your software crashed, your user's pissed. You have to be good at this job. Yeah, and a lot of it goes hand in hand. They're partying a lot more and networking and socializing a lot more, and that's what they need to do to get a job. It all goes hand in hand. It's different personality types too, if you want to look at it in that lens, from that paradigm. Switch from... Oh, that's cool, though. I'd support that. I ain't mad at that at all. If you switch from a hard major to an easy major, so you can still get a college degree and then use your extra time to self-study whatever you're actually interested in, it's kind of dope. I like that. And UB NetDef, I just recommended this to a 199 student was asking what they can do to learn more security, and I pointed to UB NetDef. So I'm hoping... I checked their website. There was some pretty recent stuff in there. So I'm hoping that's still a good, thriving community. And that's my go-to when somebody asks about security. Allen's CSE 365 and UB NetDef. If there's more I should add to that list, please let me know. But those are the two things that my default recommendations. Do more security. Yeah, obviously not your typical business student. No, I don't really want to have that conversation because that's just being antagonistic at that point. Like, they're not gonna change. I don't think that conversation would end in them changing their curriculum and adding more rigor. I just don't think there's any value to be had from that conversation. If they want to approach me and have that conversation, I'd be happy to do that. If they want to hop in chat when I'm ranting one time and give the counterpoints and counter arguments, I'd be happy to talk to them about that. But I'm not going to initiate it just because I don't think it goes anywhere. And part of it, if I'm looking at it from a university level, you kind of have to have that degree because you don't want all those students going to another college where we're not going to get their tuition revenue. So if you're thinking of it from that aspect, as a university, we kind of have to have a degree like that. I'm just not going to be part of teaching that degree. I want nothing to do with it. I want to be teaching part of a degree that has rigor and actually has value out there. But if they made the business school rigorous, they would start hemorrhaging students. And then where do those students go? Like, there has to be a way for all those students who are here just to party, for them to have somewhere to go if we want to keep their tuition dollars, or we just say, you're not welcome at this university at all. And I don't know if we can get away with that being a public university. I just don't think we can say, hey, if you're not here for rigor and education, get out. I don't know if we can do that. So business school on this campus happens to be that one of those degrees. There are others that I just don't know very well. I talk about business because I went through the curriculum. I don't want to pick on anything I don't know anything about. So I don't know if they even should change, is my point. I think they're doing the university a service in a certain way, and I think that's just the way it is. But I do want to warn students, like, if you're one, thinking of going to business school because it's easier, please think about your career, your long-term career, is why I mention it. And two, it's easy to get discouraged when you're working your ass off and pulling all-nighters and just dedicating your life to homework assignment after homework assignment, after project, after exam. And then you look at someone from business school who just isn't doing that, who just isn't doing anything. I want to make sure that you know that they're making a deliberate choice to not do much work now, but not have a successful career as you will have. I want to make sure you're aware of that so you don't get discouraged. So those are the two reasons to bring that up. I don't bring it up just to pick on them. I don't bring it up to try to encourage the business school to add rigor. Like that, those aren't my goals there. I just want to make you feel better about the choice you've made, and encourage you to not make a bad choice that you're going to regret for the rest of your life. If you do want to switch to business school, that's fine, but make sure you're doing it for the right reasons. Say, look, I just want an easier time now, and I'm okay if that sacrifices my career. If you're okay with that, go for it. You're an adult. You can make that choice. But just be aware of the choice that you are making. It's not easy or hard. There are many benefits to taking the hard, rigorous major. Oh, Beefy Indian Kid, I probably should have read this before I went on that rant, on that one, because you might say a lot of the same things. Well, I see there are some benefits to studying business, I suppose. Parties are just them sharpening up their social skills. Yeah, very true, because that is one of the skills that they need. If they're going to go out there and be a middle manager, like, they need to have the social skills. They need to have interpersonal skills. That's a big part of the job. So you could argue that while they're partying, they're actually studying. Yeah, exactly. It's all them soft skills. That's what business school is about to me. Them soft skills. Yeah, well said. I agree with all this. And part of it is this introverted. I wasn't going to go here, but since you brought it up, we can just briefly. The introverted versus extroverted. I think depending on your personality type, at least between one of those and where you are, to what degree you're either identify as either one of those, that's going to inform your decision of majors. So if you're extroverted and you chose computer science, you're probably gonna have a bad time and you're gonna end up switching to business just because you need that social interaction and them parties and all that good stuff. If you're introverted, you're going to gravitate more towards a STEM field and one of these majors where we're heads down, focused on the work, not really thinking about socializing very much. And obviously these are all general terms, and I'm bringing up a lot of stereotypes as well. I'd argue that some of those are true. In computer science, by and large, we're not that social of creatures. Obviously, there are very social software engineers out there. It's not 100%, but we do tend to be less social and more introverted in a STEM field. Because if we weren't, we wouldn't spend hours on end staring at our computers studying code and looking at our IDEs. Extroverts don't do that because that drains their energy. Where I can gain energy by staring at my IDE for a few hours solving a tricky problem. That can actually motivate me and pump me up because I'm an introvert. Oh, yeah, that's wild. Just to make those connections. Yeah, I mean, yeah, so I'd say that's a good point for business degree. You just go there to network. You're definitely going to do more networking in business school. You have to. I feel like every class I took, they would be talking about networking. It's a huge thing that they talk about in business school. And again, I haven't heard that at all in computer science. Networking, you don't network, you just know how to do the job. And when you're ready to work somewhere, you apply. And if they believe you can do the job, they hire you. And on the other side of that, once you get hired, there's not a lot of networking required. There's not a lot of socializing required. You have to know how to work on a team. Like courses like this, that's what we're teaching you because that's what you need to know. But very little of interacting or networking. I'll just say networking. That sums it up. Yeah. Well, is that devil's advocate? I feel like that's something I said. There are jobs that don't require a degree but can be competitive just from the number of people applying. Having a degree. Oh yeah, yeah. So even if a job doesn't require a degree, having a degree is gonna give you an advantage to get that degree. Yeah, having a degree versus not having a degree. Obviously, having a degree is going to be better. Is it worth the 4 years and tons of money though? I don't know. I think there are a lot of people who don't get their return on investment from a degree. But yeah, I mean, especially obviously everyone here is going to get a degree. You should get a degree because you already made it this far. You got that sunk cost. You can call it a fallacy if you want, but you do have sunk cost already. You might as well finish it up. I guess for some of you, maybe it would is a sunk cost fallacy. Depends on your specific situation. Ecosia. I am gonna have to increase the font size here. I can't see that one. Personally, I'm learning Ecosia. Not sure how relevant it is. I'm not sure what Ecosia is. Let me quickly look this up. I do want to. It's getting kind of late. I want to start going. It is a search engine. You know, that's what I thought from reading your comment, but I didn't believe it. A search engine. Then the more you use it, they plant trees. It sounds like a good idea. Okay, the paragraph conversation part of stream. Yeah, I like it. Nothing wrong with that. What's your Stack Overflow reputation? Uh, 0. I don't even have a Stack Overflow account, to be honest. I just read it. I just consume Stack Overflow. I've never felt the need to ask a question on Stack Overflow, or I should. This is one thing I think of. I should create an account so I can start answering questions, or add my own stuff to things. But I don't know. It gets to a time thing too. Do I actually seek out questions to answer? I don't know. I'm not into that. Maybe I would be, but I'm not looking to add something to my to-do list. Yeah, in this we have this complaint a bit in CN that you go into CN because you want to play with hardware, and then you don't really get to play with hardware very much. It's been addressed to varying degrees, but I still don't think we're there yet. We need more. There's the robotics club, right? UB Robotics, that's a thing, right? That you could do it on the side, but not really as part of your coursework, unfortunately. We do have robotics classes. Am I remembering this right? We have robotics classes at the grad level, I believe. And by the way, you can take, I think it's 2 grad classes as an undergrad. So if you want to shop around for grad classes and register for some of them, I think the limit's 2, but you can take up to 2 grad classes as an undergraduate student. So take advantage of that. If there's something at the grad level you want to take advantage of that. I think it's 1 extra form you have to fill out. But if there's something cool you want to take and it's only at the grad level, just take it. That's a thing that you're allowed to do. Oh, because you're on the old curriculum, so you still have to take 442. I see. Tensei. Well, I'm still happy to have you here. Even if you were forced to be here with us. I'm still happy to have you here. Yeah, this is why that's yeah. That was one of the big things that was frustrating me about EE. And I would have been fine with it if it was in the context of build this circuit, and as you're building the circuit, you're going to have to know what the current in that inductor is. But it wasn't framed like that, and I was getting to the point where I didn't believe that my career would be being an electrical engineer out there in the world, that my career would be like that, of actually building things. So I got really discouraged. And that's part of why I have assignments like that. Like, you won't see me putting out an assignment that's one of those standard computer science assignments where I say, here's a binary search tree, write a traversal for it. Actually, as I say that, I have that exact question as a CSE 116 assignment. Let me clarify. I won't have those as the more project assignments, the big homework assignments. I do have that, but it's as a lecture question, just to make sure students are familiar with what I talked about in lecture. But my homework assignments, whenever you're sitting down and expected to work for like 10 hours straight or more, or 20 to 30 hours as some of the 116 assignments are, it's always going to be an actual piece of software that does a thing. So it's possible to have a computer science class that's as boring as you say the EE one is, but I refuse. And that's part of why I'm in this field. I'm in this field to build stuff. So when I have students in my class, I'm going to have them build stuff. Why wouldn't I? I'm going to have them build stuff so they can see what cool things they can do with computer science. Students really don't bother me over the summer. Once final grades are posted, it's amazing how fast all students scatter. They're just gone. I couldn't reach them if I wanted to. There are one or two students who will contact me over the summer, maybe a handful, maybe 5 to 10 total over a whole summer. But it's usually stuff that I'm happy to talk about. It's not a bother at that point. They're usually either wanting letters of recommendation, fine, or they actually want to talk about something extra they want to do outside of class coursework. Obviously, because no classes are going on, they're not talking to me about classes. The things in email that stress me out are usually students just complaining about their grades. They didn't do what they were supposed to do, and they're not happy with the grade that they got. And then I just have to say, well, you didn't do what you were supposed to do, so that's the grade you deserve. I don't get those emails in the summer, so it's not a bother at all. And if there is a bother in the summer with that, I'll just ignore it. I don't have to answer email. It's summer. It's my break. Get off me. Yeah, parts per million can have some. 100 parts per million, if you're not thinking about it, can sound like a lot. And in some cases, it can be a lot. There are, there's something that can kill you with that density. But yeah, it can definitely be used to manipulate. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about, Java. Yeah, we're fun at parties. Me and you should have a party. We'll be able to talk about assignments. We can work on projects and stuff. I just don't know if it's called a party at that point. We just call them hackathons, and we have a lot of fun. Yeah, just call it a LAN party. Then joined in right after. Nice. Yeah, UB.NETDEF is still active and thriving. Good. Good to hear. Because I steer students in that direction whenever they ask about stuff. So I'm glad to hear there's somebody to receive them on the other end. I was just looking at the website. Is there contact information? I forget. I should have looked at it a little closer. If there was a, contact us, here's the information. If there isn't, maybe there is already. Because I don't know, if I were a student and a professor told me to go there, I would either wait for the next class that's coming up, or I'd want to join a Discord or something to be part of the activity. If you have a Discord or anything, assuming you're part of it, you said they are, so maybe you're not officially part of it. But if they have like a Discord or a Slack, where people can just go and interact, might be an idea worth pursuing. Yeah, they're still doing pen testing too. That's got to be fun. I gotta look into this more and get savvy on what is exactly going on over there, and just doing more pen testing. I have a pen testing course in my watch later on YouTube that's recommended all the time. I gotta click on that and watch it. It's 12 hours long, so I don't want to just watch it intermittently. But maybe that's what I should just start doing. Learn more pen testing myself. Yeah, that sounds about right. That's another reason I like Twitch. I don't have to worry about webcams at all. I don't have to be like, oh, no one's turning their webcam on, or do I require webcams? No, let me just take that option away and let's just chat. Uh, makes it less stressful. I hope for all of us, but at least for me as well. There's no pressure to turn on your webcam. I don't have to pressure you. I don't have to. I don't know. Oh, nice. UB Robotics is going on. Yeah, take care of the real master. Yeah, I like this format too. No pressure. No pressure to turn on your webcam. All right, I actually made it to live chat, and before 5 o'clock. Oh, I'm gonna go eat some dinner. Oh, oh. All right. Anybody have any last? You want to throw any last comments out there? We covered a lot of ground today. It wasn't all about the legal issues in code, but we talked about a lot. What's for dinner? Salisbury steak with mashed potatoes. It's one of my family's favorite dinners, so I'm super excited about it. And a vegetable. I don't know what the vegetable we're having is today. Maybe corn. All right. Yeah. Well said, Spavine Runeslayer. Take care, everybody. I'm out of here. I'll see everyone Friday for the next activity. The last thing until the following week. Oh, I forgot to mention this in the lecture part, but some of you do have meetings next week. If your PM says you have a meeting, then you still have to go to that meeting. But most of them are canceled. But some teams, especially teams who did not do well on Sprint 3, you're going to have those meetings. You don't get a break if you haven't done any work yet. But for most of you, you won't have meetings next week. So take care, everybody. See you Friday.